Over the past year, I have had the privilege of speaking with 100 India's sharpest minds, generals, diplomats, strategists, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. These conversations spanned across geopolitics, technology, leadership, and philosophy. Each guest brought their own experience, their own lessons, and their own truths. And through it all, one realization became clear: that history doesn't just teach us about the past, it gives us the blueprint for the future. Today, I want to share 10 lessons from these 100 conversations, lessons that define India's journey, its challenges, and its path to the future. In the grand corridors of Magadha, Chanakya stood before King Dhananda and warned him about the future. The arrogant king, blinded by his own wealth and power, dismissed him. What happened next, you may ask? Dhananda fell and a new empire under Chandragupta Maurya was born. An empire that was built not just on strength, but on wisdom. The greatest minds I have spoken to understand one thing: that knowledge without reflection is just noise. The best leaders don't rush to conclusions. They sit in silence before they act, because wisdom isn't found in having all the answers. It's found in knowing which questions to ask. The story of Sardar Patel unifying India through sheer leadership. After independence, India was fragmented into 562 princely states. It could have remained broken land, but one man, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, saw a future no one else did. Through diplomacy, strategy, and sheer will, he united India into one nation, and his leadership altered the course of the history. History repeats itself, empires rise and fall, alliances shift, but leadership is the force that bends history to its will. Every great leader I've spoken to, from military generals to CEOs, agrees that geopolitics is not just about power, but about those who dare to shape its course. The story of Kargil, underestimating the enemy's intent, which in 1999, when Pakistani forces occupied India's position in Kargil, many asked, how did we not see this coming? The truth is, India's defenses were focused elsewhere. Assuming an all-out war was unlikely, but war doesn't follow predictable patterns. It comes when you least expect it. Many nations today build deterrents for the tremors while ignoring the earthquake. We react to small provocations, but miss the long-term threats. The rise of China, the evolution of AI in warfare, the shift in global trade. These are the real battles, but too often we prepare for yesterday's war instead of tomorrow's. The story of India-Pakistan wars is a crisis of mistrust. And since independence, India and Pakistan have fought wars not because of lack of technology, but because of lack of trust. The war in 1947, 65, and 71 were all triggered by political ambitions, misunderstandings, and historical baggage. Wars, economic collapses, and even business failures don't happen because of a lack of resource. They happen because of human emotion: fear, greed, pride, and arrogance. The biggest challenges aren't technical, they are human. What's the solution, you may ask? Understanding people, not just their systems. The story of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, from failure to the missile man of India. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's first major project, SLV-3, was a failure. The rocket crashed, the entire team was devastated, but instead of blaming anyone, his mentor, Dr. Satish Dhawan, took responsibility and told Kalam that next time we will succeed. The next launch was a success, and Kalam went to become the missile man of India. Every accomplished leader spoken to, 4-star generals, CEOs, best-selling authors, has failed massively before they succeeded. They all said the same thing: failure is not the opposite of success, it's the path to success. The story of India's nuclear test shaping a new identity. In 1998, India conducted nuclear tests in Pokhran. Despite immense global pressure, the tests were not just about military power, they were about sending a message. India will decide its own security fate. It was an assertion of sovereignty. And this is why a strong military is important. But security is also about economic stability, controlling narratives, and building a nation identity that people believe in. Wars are fought with weapons, but won with ideas. From cyber warfare to drone technology, AI is already transforming how nations defend themselves. India has started integrating AI into its defense systems, but the race is just the beginning. The question is, will we lead this transformation or follow others? Every expert I've spoken to on AI and defense agrees that AI won't replace human decision making, but it will amplify both good and the bad decisions. If used wisely, AI could prevent wars before they started. If misused, it could start conflicts that no one can control. The story of India's rise from a weak economy to a global powerhouse shifted in the year 1991. That's when India was on the verge of economic collapse, and today it is the fastest growing major economy. How, you may ask? Through reforms, resilience, and the ambition to stand on its own feet. The US and Europe had no longer have a monopoly on power. The world is shifting, and emerging powers like India, Brazil, and Indonesia are rising. But multipolarity brings instability, and we are entering an era of unpredictability, and nations must adapt. The story of 1962 Indo-China's war was overconfidence that led to the disaster. In 1962, India underestimated China's aggression, and our leadership assumed diplomacy alone would prevent war. That overconfidence cost us clearly. The smartest leaders stay adaptable, question assumptions, and remain open to new perspectives. The greatest leaders I've spoken to understand one thing: certainty is dangerous. The smartest minds stay adaptable, question assumptions, and remain open to new perspectives. The story of Vajpayee's bus to Lahore, which was about peace through conversation, landed in 1999. Atal Bihari Vajpayee took a historical bus journey to Lahore to start a peace dialogue with Pakistan. It was a moment of hope until Kargil happened. But here's the lesson: even in conflict, dialogue must continue. Every major shift in history begins with a conversation. And that's exactly what DOAP and Kalam and Kavach aims to do. Ignite the conversations that lead to change. If India wants to rise, we need a strong defense ecosystem. And to do that, we need reforms. And reforms start with a dialogue. And that is why the world is a mirror. The world reflects what you put out. Fear brings fear. Strength brings strength. Opportunity brings opportunity. And the most powerful people in the history didn't wait for change. They shaped it. And that's what I plan to do with this next 100 conversations. I hope you'll be there for them. If you enjoyed this 100 episode special, where I brought in 10 lessons from these conversations, do subscribe. Until then, keep reimagining yourself and know that the power of change lies within you. Jai Hind.